at these brothers. Let's have a conversation real quick, man. And to be honest, it's probably one of the most important conversations that we can have when it comes to women or relationships, right? Because we can sit here and have conversations about women are doing this, or women want men to spend money on Birkins, or women are out here cheating, and a number of other things that we can talk about to bring awareness. But at the end of the day, man, when all the smoke clears, what a man really has to understand is how a woman robs him of his energy. You know what I'm saying? Because if you get with let's say you get with the gold digger, or you get with the woman that cheats, or you get with the woman that moves however she moves, right? You can just simply get rid of that woman, move on, and keep on trucking. But if you allow a woman to take your essence, if you allow a woman to rob your energy, bro, that's something that some men never recover from. Some men, even if a man is on the up and up, he can recover from that in 6 months to a year if he's. But some men never recover from that, man. So in order to understand how a woman robs you of your power, your God essence, you really have to understand the power that a woman has. And I talk about this sometimes, man. I don't talk about it enough. You know, when I talk about what a woman should bring to the table, right? When I talk about that power that a woman has, I talk about the power that a woman has to create a bubble over a relationship. And the benefit that is to a man is, and I use the same scenarios, like if a man is making minimum wage, but he's trying to get that manager position, or he's trying to open up his own job, open up his own garage, his own barbershop, right? He's trying to level up. That woman has the ability to paint that world around that man. So when that man gets off work and he comes into the house, or they're going out anytime she's with him, or their livelihood period, his livelihood can feel as that of what he's trying to become. I need y'all to soak that up, especially the 1 or 2 sisters that are watching, because a lot of women don't understand their power. A woman has the ability to put some kind of covering over a relationship where a man can operate in his I am. That's a power that a woman has, man. You know what I'm saying? So in order to understand how she can rob a man of his essence, you have to understand she has the power to paint that picture around the world, right? Now, in order to really go deeper on it, you really have to take our situations and relationships as men, and really triangulate those with 2 quotes, right? The first quote is, and I'm gonna jack it up, it's in the Bible. I think it's in Psalms or Proverbs, where it says, a man is better off sleeping on the rooftop than being in a situation with a quarrelsome woman. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? In other words, brothers, if you gonna find yourself with some bitch, and she's always complaining, she's always doing this, she's always screaming, she's always nagging, she's always doing these things, you're better off sleeping on the roof. You're better off being solo. You're better off being single for the rest of your days. Now, I know there was just one quote in the Bible, and after that they went on and talked about some other things, man. But you gotta understand, there was a lot of meat and potatoes in that verse right there, bro. There was a lot of meat and potatoes in that verse, right? And we can understand that, right? But when I say triangulate it, you really gotta take a verse from Neville's book, right? When Neville said this, and I'm gonna paraphrase. Neville said this, and I use this quote in my book. I think this was in it was in Neville's book Resurrection when he said this, and I'm gonna paraphrase. Neville said, if a man can control his mood, if he can just control his mood, like he doesn't understand how powerful that is. Neville said, if a man can control his mood, he can prophesy his own future. If a man can control his mood, he can prophesy his own future. I'm gonna tell you this, man. I've read and heard several hours of Neville Goddard. When I heard that, when I read that in the book Resurrection, brother, I had to sit it down and digest that for about a day or two. A man that can control his mood, let me change up a little bit more. A man that can control his frame, a man that can control his emotional state of being. That's all our mood is. A man that can control that can prophesy, can call his own shots, can Babe Ruth through life. Right? Now take all this and understand what I'm saying when I'm talking about how a woman can rob you of your power. About the crazy woman and you better off sleeping on the roof. How a man can prophesy his future if he can control his mood. You have to understand, man, the most powerful thing we have as men is our emotional state. Our emotional state. Yeah, you can have the degrees, you can read all these books, you can be a philosopher, you can rub elbows with all these people. Your emotional state is going to govern what your life is doing. Your frame, whatever you want to call it. Your I am. Your square. Whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. Your state of being. That's controlling every single dynamic in your life. Every single dynamic in your life. So you gotta understand, going back to the whole thing now. In order for a woman to rob you of your power, the only way she can rob you of your power is to get you out of that state. Is to get you to pour that energy that you're pouring through that emotional state of being, to pour it somewhere else. When you pour it somewhere else, brother, she has you by the gonads. She has you by the gonads. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, like, I see a lot of men crashing out behind women. And I was just watching a few videos either this morning or yesterday. Like they were talking about like Kai Cenat and his girlfriend sleeping with somebody, a money bag or somebody. I can't remember who it was. One of them cats. And now this cat is kind of in a vibe, and he's in a situation. He's not making content anymore. That means his emotional state has been shook, and that's to be expected. I mean, we're not emotionless men. I mean, yeah, something goes wrong. Yeah, you're gonna catch a blow, but you should never leave that square, bro. I'm gonna say it again. Not you should. You can. You can never leave that emotional state of being. I talked about this heavy in, and I'll leave a link. When I talked about that video, because I went through a situation similar to that, of course, many moons ago now, where I talked about a situation, man. I went in detail about my situation. And through all that, the anger we have, guys, all the emotions that come with a woman doing us wrong, or a job laying us off, or any situation, we can never leave our state of being. We can never leave our states of being, man. You know what I'm saying? Because once you move off that square, now you're creating a whole different reality. Now your life is going to shit, and a lot of times men don't understand why it's going down. Getting back to how a woman extracts that from you, right? So let's look at just you every day during your relationship, man. You have to understand that a lot of times when your woman gets mad or your woman gets upset, she's going to be doing things to throw jabs at you. They're going to be little jabs. Even on your first 1 or 2 dates. Because you got to understand this. It's in a woman's DNA. It's in a woman's DNA to test men. To make sure they hold on to that power. So a lot of times, it has nothing to do with a woman loving you, a woman being a thotty woman, a woman being a gold digger. You have to understand that when it comes to a woman extracting that power from you, even the Felicia Rashads of the world, even the Mother Teresas will extract that power from a man if he isn't standing right. You have to understand it's in a woman's DNA to do that, just to make sure her man is still on point. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, so having said that, I'll say this. A lot of times in your relationships, your woman is going to be poking at you. She might talk about your shoes, or she might do something to stir anger up in you, or to stir jealousy in you, or to stir anything up in you. You really can't care about those kind of things. You really can't. I mean, you got to get to the point mentally, man, where simple, small things about a woman poking at you, like your frame is so solid. your frame is so solid, man, that it's like, hey, you know what, like whoop-dee-doo. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, on the extreme end, and this is when a lot of men start to lose it. Like, say for example, and I'm just using this example. Say for example, you and your girl go through a breakup. Y'all done had 50,000 breakups. Y'all are going through this. Y'all are going through this week off or 2 weeks off, spell y'all go through or whatever. And now you see her online, and now she's doing things to make you think she's out at the club doing all kind. You have to be a man so locked into your identity, so locked into your value, so locked into your purpose, man, that even when a woman, let's even go extreme, even when a woman steps outside the relationship and cheats, bro, that's gonna burn. It's going to burn like hell. But I'm going to tell you this, you can never leave your position. You can never leave your state of mind. You can never leave that mentality that is going to take for you to create the kingdom that you created and the kingdoms that you'll create in the future. You can never leave that square. And I'm going to tell you why, man. And this is what a lot of men don't understand. And again, I found out by mistake. A lot of things I share with y'all, man, over the years are just trial and error and going through some rough patches. I found out through mistake. Let me tell you what's going to happen when you come off your square. Or when you lose your frame. Let me say it like that. You're gonna get mad at this woman, and your emotional state of bliss, of walking with God, of zero frequency, is going to turn into anger. It's going to turn into anger. And that anger is going to be directed at her. That anger is going to be directed at your woman, right? And I'm not sure if I was talking about this a few weeks ago on YouTube or in the Power Circle, but I was talking about all energy is good energy. We were talking about those Power Circles. We were talking about transmuting energy. Shout out to Brother Joe Curl. That was one of his talks. We were talking about transmuting energy. You have to understand when you pour that anger towards your ex-girlfriend or somebody who done did you wrong, or partner. You're just pouring all day. You're just thinking anger, anger, anger. First off, you're off your square. Your world is getting ready to go to hell. In 5 minutes, your world is going to be hell, hands down. Secondly, you're building the kingdom of somebody else. You're sitting there mad at your ex-girlfriend or your ex-wife whole time. You're building their kingdom because 24 hours a day, you're pouring anger that way. Again, when we talk about transmuting energy, like when energy comes your way, you got to just say, hey, it's just raw energy. Like somebody might have meant for it to be bad or meant for it to be good, but I'm just going to transmute it to just raw energy and accept it and build with it. That's why on my YouTube videos, I like the thumbs down just like I like the thumbs up. Because to me, it's just raw energy. I can do what I will with that energy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, or somebody leaves a negative comment, it's like bring it all, brother, because it's just raw energy to me. So the way a woman can rock, and the thing is this, man, going back to this video I speak about every once in a while, that video I made about 5 years ago when I was talking to that brother in front of the Alamo, right? Brother that was homeless, and all he had to talk about was good guy, good solid brother, right? And we sitting there talking for 3 or 4 minutes, and the fact that an old relationship came up, right? And after that, man, the brother was still angry from a relationship 15 years ago. He's still pissed off, having no idea that that's his riches, that's his kingdom, that's his finances, that's his health, that's his livelihood. He's just throwing away, or not even throwing it away, giving it to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And so all I'm saying is this: you have to understand that even if a lot of women can't speak to this, meaning they can't speak to what I'm saying, they know it. Instinctively, they know it. They know that if they got 3 or 4 guys that are pissed off at them, if they got an ex-boyfriend that's still pissed off at them from 5 years ago, oh, they're getting fed. It's a universal law. It's a universal law, man. So all I'm saying is, man, protect your kingdom, protect your frame. One of the main things is, like, not even one of the main things, the main thing. Before we talk about getting healthier, before we talk about getting wealthier, before we talk about any of that stuff, you have to. It's what I'm saying every video. Who are you? Where are you going? You have to plant your feet somewhere. Who am I? Where am I going? That's your identity. That's your 1 acre plot of land that nobody can ever pull you off of. And I'm talking about your emotional state, your identity, your I am, where you're going. Nobody should ever be able to pull you off of that, man. So let your brothers do you wrong. Let the job lay you off. Let the woman run the streets. Never come off of your position, brothers, because as soon as you do, you're getting robbed.